In February of 2014, a group of citizens, businesses, ranchers, and conservation groups, many of them scientists, engineers, and lawyers, submitted their objections to the Coronado National Forest's final environmental impact statement and draft record of decision for the proposed Rosemont copper mine.
I think the quality of the objections that Save the Scenic Santa Rita has put together directly shows kind of the community input and the community love of that area, and it shows through the quality of these comments from hydrologists and geochemists and biologists and ornithologists how dedicated they are to make sure that this mine does not go through.
Compiled over the last 6 years, the 284-page filing shows in vivid detail how the experts believe the Coronado's analysis of the environmental and economic impacts of the proposed half-mile deep and 1-mile wide mine would violate state and federal laws, regulations, and policies designed to protect the region's water supplies, air quality, wildlife, and recreation.
I think their process has been significantly lacking. The FEIS, I think, is significantly flawed because it doesn't necessarily address the comments that were originally put in by the public.
The Coronado openly acknowledges in its FEIS that the mine will violate both state and federal water quality standards. Experts believe that the Coronado is failing to fulfill its responsibility by refusing to force Rosemont to comply with these standards. This is troubling to Dr. Waite Osterkamp, a United States Geological Survey hydrologist who lives in southern Arizona.
The only thing we do know for sure is that there will be reductions in water levels. All the people of the Sonoran Plain that live there and all the small businesses rely upon water wells. These wells will be adversely affected.
The mine will create a deadly pit lake that can't be cleaned up and would be lethal to migratory birds and other wildlife. That, experts say, is a violation by the Forest Service of the Federal Organic Act.
Any copper mine or hard rock mine of this sort is going to have associated contaminants because of the minerals that are being mined. Cadmium is one, hexavalent chromium is another one, arsenic, selenium. All we know for sure is that this is going to be a very, very toxic set of circumstances as far as the water in the pit is concerned.
The Clean Air, Water, and Endangered Species Acts are among the federal laws violated in the FEIS, according to the filing. The Forest Service is also failing to force Rosemont to set aside enough money to provide for post-mining cleanup.
It's a big liability for the public, big financial liability for the public. Not only that, but we need to know if the company is capable of providing that sort of financial surety. The number's too big, they might not be able to do it.
Those opposing the mine further object that the Forest Service and Rosemont seem to accept the admission in the FEIS that increased mine truck traffic on Highway 83 is expected to more than double the number of people killed in motor vehicle accidents.
Even one fatality is one too many. We don't think any fatalities is an acceptable number, period. A nightmare scenario that I could picture is a mine truck on one of those curvy, windy hills, plowing into a school bus full of children and becoming crossways on the road, and then catching on fire. It would be an ultimate nightmare.
Well, if there's hard rock mining in the Rosemont area or in the Santa Rita mountain area, all of that work has to be done off of a small scenic highway 83. And that is the lifeline from the Sonoran, Elgin, Patagonia area to Tucson.
Finally, the experts point out that the Forest Service did not allow public comment on a last-minute change to the mine's transportation plan.
I would say that with my knowledge of the NEPA process, anything new that is of a material consequence of change that wasn't addressed initially would be in violation of the process.
This whole process of objecting to an EIS begs a bigger question of, should there be a mine?
This is potentially an insult on the landscape that will be essentially forever. It will never recover as far as the geology is concerned, the hydrologic system is concerned, and certainly as far as the ecosystem is concerned.
There's hundreds of millions of dollars that have been invested in conservation in that valley and in that watershed. And for a foreign company from Canada to come in, take very precious metals out of our ground and then ship them off to China and destroy this very large public investment in conservation is really a shame and should not happen.
The regional forester in Albuquerque has up to 75 days to respond in writing to each of the objections and then make a recommendation about how to proceed. The group says depending on the outcome of that process, they may take their grievances and the U.S. Forest Service to court. In Tucson, Frances Causey reporting.